no strangers to failing a game quite soon after starting it, whether it's getting killed by the first boss in Dark Souls, or quitting Roller Coaster Tycoon because it turns out there's a lot of maths in this game supposedly about roller coasters. But it's extremely rare to find a way to game over your playing experience well before it's even begun. And yet, it is possible, if you find the right game and know what to do, or find the right game and are unlucky enough to stumble into one of these near-instant game overs that boot you right back to the start screen before you've even seen the tutorial. Here are 7 games you can fail before they even start. Beware spoilers for the following, and weirdly, bad language in the Metroid game?
Comedian Takeshi Kitano is best known internationally for playing the Count in game show Takeshi's Castle. That's right, it's just an act. He doesn't own that castle at all. What else is a lie? Much less well known is the 1986 NES game designed by Takeshi Kitano called Takeshi no Chosenjo, and popularly known as Takeshi's Challenge. It's a sarcastically hard game where you play a salaryman looking for treasure, and completing it is nearly impossible, thanks to the bizarre series of unexplained tasks you must perform around town, all while being attacked in the street. Take our advice then and fail Takeshi's Challenge before you've even started. It'll save you time. At the title screen, instead of heading left to start, go right to where you can enter passwords to continue an earlier game. When you talk to the fellow here, you have several password-related options and a final option which translates to punch. And if you choose it, he kills you, and you're treated to the game over screen before the game even began. Which doesn't really make sense, and so is in keeping with this entire game. If failing before you even start isn't your preference, you can also win Takeshi's Challenge immediately, because you can apparently skip straight to the final bit of the game simply by hitting the punch button on the title screen 30,720 times. The operative words there being "you can." We're not trying it.
There are so many iconic scenes in The Matrix. The mouth sealing up bit, or the part where Neo dodges all the bullets, like...
Okay, it's harder to do in a chair.
So many iconic scenes, in fact, that you could be forgiven for forgetting the one where Neo is offered the choice whether to leave behind fake Matrix land and enter the real world, or to return to a life of blissful ignorance. Or as Morpheus puts it in a cutscene immediately after the game's title appears,
"You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes."
I would have more questions, like what exactly is in each pill, and what if I eat both? But you do you, Neo. Brilliantly, this cutscene isn't just a cutscene. You actually have to select the red pill to start the game. Or, of course, you can game over the Matrix before Neo's even taken a single step by navigating right to the blue pill. Om nom nom.
Perhaps I was wrong about you, Neo. I'm sorry you won't be joining us.
This begins a cutscene of Neo's alarm clock looking all Matrixified in a piece of the game that's been animated with surprising care, considering it's only going to be seen by blue pill swallowing Morpheus dodgers. Neo wakes, assuming he's had nothing more than a dream, and the game's over, immediately, without a single bullet dodged or "whoa" uttered. Sorry, Morpheus, you'll have to find a new The One, I guess. Hearing good things about this Cypher guy.
If you're not familiar with how the game Doki Doki Literature Club pans out, well, I envy you. Very much. But not for long, because here's the situation in broad strokes. The game is an anime dating sim where you play a guy who joins his school's literature club and can woo several of its members, including your childhood friend Sayori, the first character you meet as the game begins. At least that's what the game is for a while, then everything goes weird and it descends into psychological horror, where after a deeply distressing series of events, you end up trapped by Monica, the literature club's leader, and the only way out is to actually open the game's files on your computer and manually delete her character. So, why not delete Monica's character file right after installing the game for the first time, and save yourself a lot of bother? It's a reasonable thing to think, frankly. With Monica gone, maybe finally this high school can get back to some semblance of normality. We came here to write poems, you know, not be scared witless. Except, after deleting Monica's file and hitting New Game, you're confronted with a Sayori who, well... And that was the game crashing itself. Time to get Monica out the recycle bin, which is the kind of sentence you only get in video games. And one memorable office Christmas party.
5 Nights at Freddy's is a game where you play a security guard watching CCTV cameras, which sounds like it's going to be a chill time with lots of coffee and donuts. But nothing could be further from the truth, because the theme restaurant you're guarding is overrun with animatronic monsters who come alive at night with murderous intent. Released in 2014, survival in this game means carefully monitoring cameras and closing doors to keep out the evil jump-scaring animatronics. Heads up, folks, there's one of those jump scares coming in roughly 5 seconds' time.
Talk to you soon.
Oh cool, an achievement. It's possible, however, to get got by an animatronic nasty before you even leave the main menu. If that is, you've played enough of the game to unlock the custom night mode, which lets you tweak the individual AI difficulty of the game's 4 animatronics. And if you enter 1987 instead of the game starting, well, remember that warning from before about a jump scare? Yeah. Enter these numbers in the custom night menu and the game jump scares you, then crashes. This game-averting scenario was added in response to rumours surrounding the importance of the numbers 1987, because 1987 is mentioned as a significant date in the game.
But then there was the 5 and 87. Yeah. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe.
Resulting in probably the fastest and most terrifying way to end your 5 Nights at Freddy's playthrough. You don't even get an achievement! Outrageous!
Famously good-looking mobile game Infinity Blade is a game you will definitely fail quite quickly, because at the end of the seconds-long tutorial, well... the dude getting stabbed! Oh yeah, that's you. The game then begins in earnest and reveals its structure. Years later, your offspring shows up at the same castle you just died at to avenge your murder. This involves a lot of tapping your iPhone or iPad to block attacks and wreck up the long line of baddies standing obligingly in your way. But it's entirely possible for your old pa to fail the game even harder than he did when he got all stabbed up. And the results are pretty interesting. At the very beginning of the game, you're being taught how to block, which simply involves holding the block button. But if you tap it like the game wants, but then release it, it's possible to take a little damage in this prologue. You can probably see where this is going. Continue to raise, then lower your shield deliberately to get hurt, and you'll eventually be squashed and die even before you reach the main game or that bit where you get got with a sword. There is, weirdly, an upside to failing this hard, this fast. By screwing up before Infinity Blade starts, you unlock the secret Negative Bloodlines mode, which starts back in time? This mode features high-level enemies you can kill for enormous amounts of gold and, ooh, a special armor set. And do you know how many times I'm willing to be hit with a sword if it means unlocking a rare armor set? Well, I'm not going to tell you because, frankly, it's not a number that I'm proud of.
Hey, you don't look terrible in a Transstar uniform. How's your eye? Still red? I know the test might seem a little unconventional, but it's a you family tradition.
2017's Prey begins with you, a character called Morgan, being examined by scientists who are submitting you to a series of tests. The tests seem pretty straightforward, but hey, I guess it is the start of the game, so it's no surprise they're sort of simple. Like this one, where they just seem to want you to do your best to hide from the scientist's view.
Is she? She's hiding behind the chair.
Okay, to be fair to me, in literally any other video game that would have worked. Although this is the game's memorable opening, mostly memorable because all these scientists get memorably killed by Typhon aliens while you watch on helpless, there is actually a tiny bit of game before this. Prior to testing, you wake up in your apartment and walk down a corridor to a helicopter that takes you to the testing facility, while the game's opening credits signal the real beginning of your adventure. Unless, of course, you don't live to see those opening credits. How? Well, hard to say. You're just in your apartment building. The only remotely dangerous thing here is that helicopter, and I hardly think the game is going to let you slice your own head off before the game has started. It is what I was going to say.
The 1980s weren't as great as Stranger Things and the powerful hairspray lobby would have you believe. For one thing, you couldn't even save your progress in most video games. Instead, long games that you couldn't expect to finish in one sitting used passwords that, once entered, would drop you back where you were last. And the Western release of Metroid for the NES was one such game to use this system. These passwords weren't loading any save data, of course, they were just programmed to reproduce a game state similar to the one you were last playing, which made them vulnerable to all sorts of exploits and odd coincidences. For example, entering the name Justin Bailey loads an instance of the game where Samus doesn't have her power suit, leading many fans to speculate this passcode must be the work of an elusive Nintendo employee called Justin. But in fact, it's just a quirky code coincidence.
That's exactly what Justin Bailey would say! Get him!
Whoa, 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 whoa! This system even offers a weird way to fail the game before it starts, if you enter the right words on the passcode screen. And that code is, Engage Ridley, mother. Enter this extremely un-Nintendo phrase, and coincidentally, you'll load a bizarre state of the game that, depending on your version, either crashes the game outright, or loads you into a glitch-filled screen that loops from which there is no escape. Nintendo has never fixed this bizarre crash, so you can break Metroid 1 right from the menu screen on Switch if you want to, although we don't recommend you try it, as devices like the 3DS and NES Classic can be soft-locked by this foul-mouthed code. Which, fun fact, breaks Metroid because it tries to load an instance of the game at an impossible location with over 300 years playtime. Although appropriately, in this balked game, Samus's hated enemy Ridley has been defeated. Nice touch, Justin, wherever you are.
Get him! Well, those were the games that you could fail before you even started. You definitely not failed watching this video if you got this far. Thank you very much if you really enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hey, can you think of any other examples? Maybe let us know in the comments below. And in the meantime, you can check out our Patreon and all our other videos. And well done. Achievement for getting through it. You did it.